So hello everyone, welcome to this slightly different YouTube tutorial here this week from TDW. I'm actually out and about enjoying a nice little walk in the autumn weather here in the UK. All the leaves are starting to change and yeah, I like a little bit of photography and stuff. So I thought I'd bring you guys along with me. And if you're new here, my name is Mike Ingledew and I'm all about making you successful with your integrated product support strategies. That's whether identifying the right standards or specifications to use on your project, identifying the right software, or just developing your skills. So do consider subscribing, sharing, liking, inviting your colleagues and sharing all of the TDW love that's out there. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a tutorial on the block release of the SSeries specifications and I got a raft of questions into me. So what I've done is I've broken those down into kind of 10 questions and tried to answer all of them as best as I can. Now, before we get going, I am not an official and formal mouthpiece of the ASD, AIA, ATA community. I'm just telling you what I learned from the people that I speak to and from those that are involved in those communities. Now, hopefully it's not too bad. I am in the middle of nowhere, but that in the middle of nowhere happens to be right next to somebody's house where he's just decided to start doing his lawn, and there's a railway line over blue yonder there, so hopefully you can still hear me perfectly and those noises aren't too much of a distraction. So the first question that I got is, where is SX000H? Now, if you remember, I said on the block release that I listed all of the specifications that were available. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll put a link up above me and you can watch that. And so SX000H is listed on the website, but there's no link to it. Now, I did ask the question of both the formal industry body here in the UK and those that I know who are into the know, shall we say. And as I understand it, SX000H will be made available at the end of October, or that is the plan for SX000H. It will be made available off the website at the end of October. So again, I'm not involved with that particularly, so although I have offered to get involved, and yeah, so if you're waiting for that one, you'll have to wait until the end of October. So question 2 that I got is 2000M is not available on the website. I am involved in the S2000M community, although I'm not responsible for putting it up on the website. I have seen issue 7 of S2000M. In fact, I'm going to be doing a tutorial on what's new in S2000M issue 7. And I believe they're waiting for the schemas to be updated and published, as I understand. So if you're waiting for 2000M, you can get in touch with them via the website. I'm sure they'll be happy to send you a copy of the specification and you can start looking at what's in there. The reality is that all of these groups are volunteer led, so you have to kind of wait in line when it comes to getting access to these specifications. But I understand as soon as the schemas are ready, they will be published up on the S2000M website. So I'm getting some funny looks here from a photographer who is clearly looking at me through his lens, making it look like he is actually photographing wildlife. I could be considered wildlife, I guess. Third question is, I've got it on my notes here so I don't forget. Do I think the S-Series will be widely adopted? Now, this is a good question because one is, look how long it took for S1000D to become adopted. Okay, let's look at when it was being used widely in Europe, and it was being used quite successfully on many projects, and how long it took for the US to adopt it, how long it is now taken Australia to adopt it. You know, I'm supporting a lot of people in Australia right now, and S1000D is a big subject, and but for many of them that I'm supporting, S1000D is a new subject. So do I think it will be widely adopted? I think, like all of these specifications, it will be a slow burn, and I think eventually it will become the norm. Maybe not in my employed career time, I don't know. But if we just look at what the market has done in the past, and how slow it has been to adopt specifications, and wait to see if there is actually any benefit to adopting these specifications, I think it will take time. That being said, we are seeing a lot of, I won't name organisations, but we are definitely seeing a lot of organisations start talking about how they're going to be contracting to and for the S-Series. So and that will only trickle downwards, and these are people right at the very, very top. So I'm sure that you're going to start seeing contract requirements calling out elements of or parts or even the entire S-Series, but I think it'll take time. The next question is, when do I think projects will start asking for this? Well, actually, we're starting to see projects asking for elements of the S-Series already. So I do some work here in the UK that's working with the UK MOD. They're already starting to ask for parts of the S-Series. And I'm working with some other organisations where they too have been asked for parts of the S-Series, not in its entirety. But we are definitely seeing it trickling through into some contract requirements. S1000D is kind of becoming the norm now, and many projects are just asking for it as kind of part of a boilerplate requirement. But I think you'll find that in contracts we're going to see more and more of the S-Series being requested. So let me know. Do you want to see my friends as well? I'm being followed down here. See that? So, but let me know if you're starting to see the S-Series coming through and whether you're starting to be asked for it. So next question, is there actually any software available yet to start supporting the S-Series? This is a really good question because none of these specifications would be made possible in terms of their adoption or implementation if we didn't have the software vendors actually making it happen. And whilst I can't share individual software companies that are working to implement areas or all of the S-Series specifications, in fact I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how I think the vendor market is going to change over the coming years. There are some organisations out there with a strategy for adopting the S-Series into their product line. So again, you ain't doing any of this without software. So if you want to do the S-Series, you're going to have to align yourself with a software company and with somebody who can actually make it happen, because these are just specifications at the end of the day, and the guys that will make it so are the software companies. Yes, if you come to TDW Live this year, I'll put a link down below, there are some software companies that are going to be there that are already talking about how they are going to be supporting the S-Series and parts of the S-Series, and how we can make it all link and actually talk to each other. So come along to TDW Live for that. If you can't make it physically to the event, then why not join us online? And but yes, there are software companies starting to make the noises of supporting the S-Series specifications. So the next question I got is kind of in the same genre of question, is how is this going to affect the software that we've already invested in? Well, I guess the answer to that is, A, do I think you're going to start being asked for S-Series straight away? Probably not, knowing your organisation. And but you're going to have to at some point have a conversation with your provider and see if they have a vision or a strategy for the S-Series and how they're going to implement them. I think I did a tutorial a little while back on how the S-Series is going to affect the CSDB and what the CSDB needs to do. For TDW Live this year, I'm actually going to be talking about how the IETP is going to change, and not just because of S-Series, but because of the way that we are developing and implementing product support. So I'm going to be talking at TDW Live about the changing role of the IETP and the things that I believe that the market is going to be demanding of our IETP solutions. So my answer is, speak to your software vendor of choice and ask them if S-Series is on their radar. Ask them if they are planning on doing something with the S-Series. That would be my answer. Do I think the S-Series is robust enough? Now, As I've mentioned on some of the tutorials in the past, I'm just going to turn around and walk back down towards my cameras here. I don't want to walk too far away from them. As I mentioned before, I'm not an ILS expert. I'm not an expert in many of what these specifications are trying to address. So I am not best placed to answer that question, but I know people who are. So I asked that question of a couple of people that I like and trust and respect in the market, and a couple of the comments that I've had is they're close but they're not ready. You know, putting S1000D and STE to one side. The reality is they're saying that these specs are not quite there yet. Some will tell you that there are gaps and there are big holes. Others will be a little bit more specific. I had one comment from somebody who I know and trust, who said the common data model is still not quite is still not quite there. It's still not quite polished and still needs a little bit of work. So, but I suspect that, you know, with the level of effort and energy that's going into these specifications, it won't be long until they are nicely aligned and they're ready for us to use. So this is a really good question. So if we're going to use S1000D, does that mean now we are going to be expected to use the rest of the S series? And my answer to that is no. S1000D, as it is today, can still be adopted and used in isolation. And you can still use it the way that we've been using it traditionally for years. We can use it either integrated with maybe S2000M systems and talking to 2000M systems, or some projects just use S1000D as a method for creating XML technical publications. I don't see it being an all or nothing anytime soon. I definitely don't see it being, if you use S1000D, you must use and list all of the other specifications. I believe that for a long time yet, you're still going to be able to use S1000D in isolation without worrying too much around the other S series specifications if they're not appropriate to you, if you're not interested in them. So I wouldn't be worrying too much just yet. Now, this question came in, which I thought was really interesting because I am involved in this work that's going on behind the scenes. Is a question came in via Gmail, so I couldn't really identify who you were or the organisation that you work for. Is there any formal S-Series certification process right now? And this is a really topical question, and this is a topical question because behind the scenes there is a new group that has been formed by the S-Series community, and it's called the CSS Talk, and I can never remember what it stands for. I'll put it down below. So the CSS Talk is actually chaired by Leonardo in Italy. I'm part of that group, as are many of the leading trainers of S-Series specifications or elements of the S-Series specifications around the world. And part of the remit of that group is looking at how we can, and I'm using we in the royal we here, how we can certify, recognise or acknowledge expertise in certain trainers. So that work is going on right now, and if you want more information on that, you can get in touch with me and I'll be more than happy to share that with you. But that's called the CSS Talk, and I think it's probably I don't know, probably about 25-30 trainers are involved in that group, and it's about trying to come together on a standardized ways of what kind of things should be trained on if you are adopting the S-Series specifications. So keep an eye out on that. We're hoping that the chairman will speak at TDW Live and introduce the CSS Talk for those of you who have not heard of it yet, and some really good people involved with that and some good brains involved with that. So yeah, the CSS Talk website is in development, and that's being driven by a chap out of Germany right now, and hopefully when it's available I will bring it to you on the YouTube channel. So the final question actually came in yesterday, today being sunny Saturday here in the UK. The question that came in was, do I plan to be at the S1000D user forum in the US in the early part of next year. Now, if you haven't seen that, they announced the S1000D user forum. I think it was only a couple of days ago. The email blast came out, and do I plan to be there? And the honest answer is I don't think so, but there's a couple of reasons for that. One is there is going to be an S-Series conference in Vienna next year also, which I think will be more interesting from the most of the projects that I support. Secondly, I will be in the States early 2022 anyway, presenting at a conference. I've been asked to do some presentations at another industry conference around integrated product support, and that will be happening in the early part of 2022. I don't plan to go to the States and then come home and go back to the States again. And this is all COVID dependent, of course. And I'll bring you more news on that event when I'm allowed to talk about it. We have agreed that I will promote it on this channel, so as soon as I'm given the official green light, I will tell you. But lastly, I do not believe at this stage, as of today, there's been significant developments in S1000D that warrant going to a user forum. Now, if you've never been to an S1000D user forum, it's worthwhile going, so I would suggest that you subscribe, and I believe that they've got a discount on tickets right now if you book early, so I guess they're trying to make sure that there's enough interest and they can cover the cost of the event, because these events are quite expensive to put on. And so if you've never been to an S1000D user forum, I would suggest you go. They are good fun, and you get to meet some really interesting people, and not only that, some good beers to be had as well. Not that I drink anymore, because I've not touched a beer for I don't know how long. So but yeah, get along if you can. Right now, unless anything changes, I do not plan to be at the S1000D user forum in the States. I do plan to be at the IPS user forum, or the S-Series user forum, or whatever they plan to call it, which will be in Vienna later next year. And hopefully I'll get to see some of you guys there. So those are the questions that I've had. Again, adding the caveat, I am not an official or formal mouthpiece for the ASD, AIA or ATA community. I'm more than happy if you have questions to go and ask the people that I know who are the formal mouthpieces. If you want any information on anything that I've mentioned during this video, let me know. And if you're coming to TDW Live, we've got a really good agenda planned. We're talking a lot about the S-Series. We're talking about how S-Series is going to be implemented in many organizations, and the vision for adopting the S-Series in many organizations. So look forward to seeing you there. Until next time, from the beautiful River Arun here in West Sussex, until the next one. See you soon, guys.